my name is Lindsay Dekich, and I'm an art therapist in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I've been practicing since 2007. That's when I finished up school at Drexel University, and I've been practicing at the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia since then. It did take me a little longer to finish up my thesis, but I was able to do my research at the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, which was really fantastic. I did my research while I was working, so it was a really great learning process, especially as a young professional, being able to work and do research at the same time. I love my work. I also work as an art therapist for family court. We work with non-custodial parents and their children during observed visitation hours, and that's been really rewarding as well. So I do have 2 jobs. I decided on a career in art therapy back when I was in college. I jumped between 5 different majors over the course of 2.5 years. I had no idea what I wanted to do, and I finally decided on psychology and art history. I've always loved making art myself, and I was kind of lost. What am I going to do? So my mother said, what about art therapy? I had never heard of it before. I think that's the case when I tell a lot of people that I'm an art therapist. They've never heard of it before. And so I looked it up online, and I found the ADA website, and they gave me lots of information about art therapy and what the journey was to becoming an art therapist. And I was able to team up with an art therapist that was pretty close to where I was going to school, and she was able to share a lot of information with me, and I just immediately fell in love with the career, and I knew that I wanted to do pediatric art therapy. That was the art therapist that I met was a pediatric art therapist, and I knew that's what I wanted to do. This is what I was meant to do. So I started my journey. I found out what classes I needed to take. I took a bunch of studio art classes at the end of my college career, and I figured I'm going to take a year off before I go to graduate school. So I decided to go into a helping field, and I worked at a nonprofit with people with developmental disabilities as a case manager, which gave me lots of good experience for going into art therapy as a therapist. And it also really solidified the fact that I wanted to work directly with patients instead of just doing the paperwork part of it. So that's how I decided on a career in art therapy. For those of you who are looking to join the art therapy field, any message or advice I have to give is this is a professional field, and it's growing, and because there still are so few of us, relatively speaking, it's so important that you really present yourself as a professional, and that you know what you're doing, and that you're able to really explain what art therapy is and convey it in terms that anybody can understand. Because we're not just art therapists working with clients, we're also ambassadors for our field. So to really learn as much as you can about the field, even at the very beginning when you're not really quite sure what art therapy is, but it sounds like something you want to do, to just really try to be able to explain it the best way that you can, and going into the field, speak to as many art therapists as you can, because we work with all different populations in all different sorts of ways, and we're not all, therapists in the way that we're all doing private practice. Some of us work in hospitals, some of us work in schools, some of us are doing community programming. So art therapy can look loads of different ways. So there's a place for you in art therapy if you believe that art making is a healing process. And when it comes to the changes that I want to see in the art therapy field in the next few years, it would be a lot more advocacy for art therapy in all different across populations and all different sorts of programs. That art making is a healing process for everybody, and really become an advocate. So I would love to see more advocacy in small towns, and because it's in most large cities, but to really get it out there and see it on TV, see it in the news, things that really make the art therapy field shine. And the best thing about being an art therapist, I think, is that every day is different. I'm constantly being challenged in ways that really help me grow as a professional. I am constantly being given opportunities to be creative with my goal setting and the interventions that I use. I work with a lot of very intelligent people who have come. I work in a children's hospital and have been able to teach so many people about the art therapy field. And I love it when I'm driving down the corridor with my art cart and a nurse comes by and she goes, I could really use some art therapy right now. Or I'm in the elevator and they're like, are you the arts and crafts lady? And I'm like, oh no, I'm an art therapist. They're like, well, what's that? And I get to tell them about it. It's a wonderful experience being an art therapist. So I hope that your journey leads you to whatever makes you happy, and if that's art therapy, that's wonderful.